Chicago and its metro area is the third largest metropolitan area, the third largest city, and the third largest metropolitan area in the country. The nation's largest inland port is here in the Chicagoland area. As a matter of fact, it's about 10 minutes from my front door. We are the transportation hub of America, and a lot of people always go, why Chicago? This young man breaks it down quite well.
Ever wonder why the third largest city in the United States is Chicago of all places? Well, welcome to Why There, the show where I explain why your favorite places are in your favorite places. This episode, Chicago. First, some background. Chicago's metropolitan area is home to nearly 10 million people, third only to Los Angeles and New York. It has the second most skyscrapers of any city in North America and is one of the most important cities in the cultural, economic, and political history of the United States. But if you look at the map, you'll notice something funny. Whereas New York and LA are in obvious locations for major cities, anchoring the best port locations on their respective coastlines, Chicago is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's over 600 miles to the nearest saltwater beach, with mountains, forests, and plenty of other major cities in between. So why did Chicago, of all places, grow to become the largest city in the interior of the continent? Why not any other inland city like Denver, St. Louis, hell, why not Toronto? And how does Chicago manage to outpace coastal cities like San Francisco, Boston, or Houston? Well, it wasn't just chance, and it definitely wasn't because people liked the weather. The answer comes down to geography. You see, if you know anything about Chicago, you know that although it's far from the coastline, it is not devoid of water access. It's at the southern point of the world's largest freshwater lake system, the Great Lakes. And these aren't just big puddles, they're coastlines. Thanks to the Erie Canal and the later St. Lawrence Seaway, the Great Lakes are connected directly to the east coast of North America. That means every port city on the Great Lakes, Buffalo, Toronto, Cleveland, Detroit, is effectively a global seaport. But Chicago is way bigger than any other city on the Great Lakes. Why? Because it had an extra card to play, the other way out of the lake system. You see, the US is fantastically naturally blessed to have the world's two greatest inland waterway systems, the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River Basin. The Mississippi is the world's longest navigable river and connects a system of rivers so large that it contains more miles of naturally navigable river than the entire rest of the world put together. With a basin home to 100 million people, the Mississippi connects nearly the entire interior of the continent to New Orleans and the Gulf of Mexico, meaning that inland cities like Omaha, St. Louis, and Pittsburgh can be global seaports as well. And although the Mississippi system and the Great Lakes are super close together, they are not naturally connected. If we turn back the clock and look just a few miles west of where downtown Chicago sits today, we'll find a low, marshy strip of land that marks the ancient shoreline of a glacial lake. And this strip happens to be the easiest natural path between the two water systems, just a 6-mile portage connecting the Great Lakes to the Mississippi. It was from here that the unassuming Chicago River, short, shallow, and unimpressive, trickled eastwards into Lake Michigan. And to the west, the Des Plaines River flowed into the Illinois and eventually the Mississippi. For millennia, native travelers would carry canoes those 6 miles, recognizing the immense strategic importance of the portage. Later, European colonizers saw the same value, establishing Chicago at the river's mouth. And in 1848, literally plowing through the portage, digging the Illinois-Michigan Canal, the first waterway that connected the Great Lakes to the Mississippi system. Later, the Chicago River itself was reversed in one of the most audacious infrastructure projects in history, changing the sleepy river that once flowed east into one of America's most important waterways, draining the Great Lakes directly into the Mississippi. This made Chicago the inland choke point of North America, the singular place where the Atlantic-bound Great Lakes network meets the Gulf-bound Mississippi system. Grain growers from across the fertile Midwest, who were once resigned to being subsistence farmers, could now create huge grain empires thanks to the cheap shipping enabled by Chicago's waterway system. Throughout the turn of the century, Chicago was inundated not just by grain, but by lumber from Wisconsin and Michigan, iron ore from Minnesota, and cattle from the Great Plains. Everything funneled through this one city simply because it was the cheapest and easiest place to buy, sell, process, and export the continent's bounty. From there, infrastructure snowballed. Rail lines fanned out in every direction. The Chicago Board of Trade was created to standardize pricing, creating the first futures markets in the entire world. And the Union stockyards made Chicago synonymous with meatpacking. This positive feedback loop caused industry, capital, and people to flood into the city, creating a metropolis rivaled only by New York itself, not to be passed by Los Angeles until the 1980s. The same geography continues to affect Chicago to this day. Although industry has waned, a quarter of the nation's freight trains still pass through the region. Illinois Waterway still ties Chicago to the Mississippi with billions of dollars of traffic each year. And O'Hare Airport is among the busiest in the entire world. The old industrial economy brought millions of people whose descendants now work in thriving tech, banking, and commerce sectors. If you're ever in Chicago wondering at its skyline and wondering why it ended up here of all places, know that it wasn't random chance. It's all thanks to geography. Chicagoans, let me know if I got anything wrong in the comments down below, and everybody else let me know where we should go next in this new series.
No, man, nothing wrong. You got everything correct there. You heard him talk about the river system, and he talked about the Des Plaines River, and it flowed into the Illinois River, and they needed to create the I&M Canal. All of that, the Des Plaines River, the Dupage River, the I&M Canal, and the Kankakee River all converge here in Channahon to form the Illinois River. The Illinois River starts here in my little town of Channahon. As a matter of fact, I'm a hop, skip, and a jump from one of these rivers here. The blue dot up there, right above the N in Channahon, that's me. And you can see here, you got the Des Plaines River coming in. You've got here the Kankakee River coming in, and if you come up here, this river right here, this is the Dupage River, and they all converge right here in Channahon to form the Illinois River, which begins right here. I'm there. I don't know, a couple of miles from the Des Plaines River. That's me, the blue dot, and then the river's right down here, and then this over here, this is the I&M Canal coming in as well. In fact, Channahon is a Native American word that means where the waters meet. So, technically speaking, you can drop a boat in the water just a mile and a half from my front door, and you can either go up to the city of Chicago, up the Great Lakes, and out to the Atlantic Ocean, or you can go back down the Illinois River to get to the Mississippi River and eventually down to New Orleans and out to the Gulf. If you've got the gumption. All from about a mile and a half from my front door.